Hi everybody, welcome back. I know I was live earlier with Clarita, but today I get to talk to Tabitha. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite her really quickly just to make sure that she joins soon because we do have amazing information to share. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and she is fabulous. She's actually my emotional coach who has been super helpful in the transition of becoming a brand new entrepreneur. She's also helping me with, is it normal that I cried on the fact that my daughter went to school for the first time? Different items, and she's been super helpful. Questions on how to manage your emotions. So she is joining us today because she's gonna share. Well, she has like lots of courses, and so I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk to her. And she decided to share the self-care 4 pillars that we talked about, right? So I'm gonna let her share, but first of all, let's just a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about and close the information of the week on self-care. Hi, Clarita. Thank you for joining. Hi, Hannah. We're gonna thank for everybody that joins. I welcome you with all of my heart. We're excited to have you. If you have questions, send them over the chat to make sure that we cover them. But I want to make sure that she gets to introduce herself and present the information.
Thank you, Telma, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited and honored to be here with your community, so thank you. And yes, my name is Tabitha Martin. I'm an emotional wellness and leadership coach. I have a program called Thriving EQ. It's for parents, and it's really joining parents on their parent journey, because as you know, for parents, parenting is like standing on a hammock holding drinks, right? And so I help support parents in that journey, as well as resources to integrate emotional intelligence and resilient skills in their home, and also to manage their own emotional wellness. And I also work with women on coping skills to have a better relationship with all emotions. And I do leadership trainings for businesses as well, where I do trainings on EQ assessment, stress management, and burnout. And then I also work with kids and teens in my program on like the skills that all adults say we wish we learned when we were a kid. And it's on confidence, discovering our strengths, and learning how to process and manage emotions and all that good stuff.
I'm telling you, she's a wealth of knowledge, and she's also a beautiful soul, amazing to talk to, and it's been great to just have you around. So thanks again for being here. So getting back to the topic of today, well, it's not just of today. I feel like it's an everyday topic, and especially for women, we learned that we love to talk about it a lot more often than guys, right? But also guys need it. So now that we know that it's a requirement, a necessity for everybody, we wanted to get the insights from you as of the 4. Tell us about those.
Yeah, well, the 4, yes. So in my program, I like to really break down self-care as really taking ownership of your own care for yourself and being in alignment of your body, mind, and heart. And I break it down to 4 different categories. So the first category is physical health. So, and there's no order, but there's 4 different categories. So let's just start with physical health. So it's really, and before I dive deep on the 4 categories, I just want to remind you that when I go over self-care and integrating and practicing these 4 different categories in your life, habits and routines take a while to practice. So it takes like 21 days to develop a habit and 30 days to really make it permanent. So think about like if you're
consistent days, right? 25 consistent days. Because if you do 5, but then you drop it, then you have to start all over again with it. Sorry to interrupt you, but they have to be consistent.
Yes. I love that you mentioned that. Yes. So, so the reason why I just with self-compassion, when I go over these, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh my goodness, I don't do any of them, or I started and then I gave up. Have some self-compassion for yourself, because our brain is designed to keep us safe. And when we learn new habits, it's going to push resistance. And that's why, we don't follow through on it. So I always like to mention, like, try, when I go over the 4 categories, think of one that you want to work on and just work on just that for at least a month. You know, so if you're a coffee drinker, you know, like in the morning, or tea, regardless if you didn't sleep or your kids were up all night or whatever happened, it's non-negotiable. You wake up, it's a priority, you have coffee before you start your day, right? It's just something that you do for yourself. So I'd like to,
Cheers.
there you go. Right. So that's kind of like how I like to introduce developing these habits, where you look at these 4 categories and you practice them, where they become such a permanent habit, regardless if you didn't sleep or what happened in your day. You still incorporate these to take care of your wellness. So, and the first one is just physical health. So physical health is like eating well. So making sure you're having a balanced plate, you know, throughout the day. Sleeping at least 7 to 9 hours. You know, it's exercising regularly. You know, so setting a goal with exercise, it could be, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. I'm going to walk a mile a day. I'm going to go out in nature a mile a day, or I'm going to join a gym and work out. Whatever that looks like for you, but moving your body. Dedicating time for recovery. So if you do, you know, work out, like you're actually scheduling time to recover your body. Drinking sufficient water. I know you're an advocate for water.
Absolutely.
And I love that, because I'll share my story. And also, physical health is maintaining your energy, right? So water is so important. I know I shared this story with you too, because I saw some of your postings on advocating for water, but there was a time where I allowed busyness to get to have power over me, and I didn't drink enough water, that it caused me to have kidney stones from dehydration. And I went and I was in the emergency room for 2 days. And so, you know, 2 days is a lot, but I had to have a procedure done, and it was from not drinking water. And that was a time where I had a lot going on at home, and I wasn't even there to like support my family. So that's why I'm a big advocate for self-care and taking care of yourself, so you have the energy to take care of, you know, your loved ones and show up the way you desire to show up. So physical health, that is, you know, those are just some things that really can help you maintain wellness and physical health. So like, you know, what do you do for yourself? What's like your main thing that is non-negotiable in your life?
On the physical area?
Yeah.
I do the water for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I try to sleep at least 6 hours on bad days. Like, I mean, I guess I take, but the non-negotiable is exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that you're just rocking it. So good for you.
Thank you. But it
Yes.
keeps the whole household safe. So it's not just for my benefit, it's for everybody's benefit.
Oh, for real. Yes. And that's how it is when I go over these 4 categories. When we practice them, you just feel better. So you show up better for your loved ones and everyone around you. And it makes such a difference. So that's on physical health. And the next one is mental health. So mental health is so important. It's about like really taking time in your day and reflecting on what your triggers are. Like triggers are things that get you in those 3 F's, that fight, flight, freeze response, that really get your body kind of, you know, heated, and your body wants to prepare for those 3 F's. It's learning to, instead of multitasking, you know, single tasking, being present in the moment, and taking some time to do that. It's a, you know, mental health is like listening to podcasts. It's also growth, you know, it's about like reading, you know, just constantly growing, being a lifelong learner, concentrating, you know, it's just, there's other things to mental health than what we think about it, but it's really focusing on trying something like that to get your mind working properly and healthy. And when we do that, that helps us avoid like burnout and stress. So mental health is very important. And for triggers, I have a free emotional trigger tracker on my website. If you go to my website, you can download that and start tracking what your triggers are, so you can start practicing that.
I'll stop you right there, because I obviously I love that trigger sheet, but I also feel like the first step to start taking care of your mental is to be aware that you need it and to know what your triggers are. So awareness is such a powerful tool to start making any change in your life, because that's when you are consciously making the decision of making it part of who you are, or of your well-being, or a priority to your home, however you want to call it. But it's still so so needed to just be aware, and most of us are just not. So it's just sometimes maybe taking the time to be aware, like, oh wow, I didn't even know that was a trigger, but now that I know that, then you can actually reflect on it and stop before you fight, freeze, or freak out. I don't know. I couldn't think of the third.
You said it perfectly. Yeah, you said it so well. Awareness is key to everything, and that's why it's just so important to slow down in life and to really understanding the root of your triggers. And a lot of our triggers come from like even like childhood things. Like I know I work with a lot of moms, and they are not happy that they like get triggered or they yell a lot because their kids make a lot of mess, and it's because when they were young they were never allowed to make a lot of mess. So when they come in the room, they're like, their heart's beating, and then they just yell. So when they understand where that trigger came from, then you could develop self-compassion for yourself, know where it came, and then work on some coping tools to kind of work through that, things like that. And not just like one trigger, but everyone has different triggers. So the awareness part is key, because what triggers you is different than your spouse or your friend. So
and it is fair to say that your triggers will also change as your life changes. Like what triggers me now as a mom is completely different than what it triggered me before kids, right? I found so many more fears and triggers and a whole new world of emotions when I became a mom. So it's you also have to have the self-compassion to acknowledge the fact that the season in life is going to probably force you to adapt yourself to your new triggers.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. And that's why it's important, like daily, that you're really taking care of yourself, so you can reflect on like, what are my triggers? What have been my triggers? Like this week, what has got me into the fight, flight, freeze? And what am I going to do to work through the discomfort? So yes, and it changes as you grow or you have other things going on in your life. Like now people are more on social media and public speaking. So this could be a trigger. So I've had to learn to do some breathing techniques and visualization practices and remind myself of my values and my passion, what I'm about and what I'm coaching and why, so I can come on and do public speaking and not allow negative thoughts to have power over me. So that is mental awareness and mental health. So like you said, just practicing daily and reflecting on that. And then the other category is spiritual. So spiritual is, there's a lot of different things that cover in spiritual, and that is really creating time in your day for reflection. To reflect on what your goals are, what your values are. Are we aligning our behavior to our values? Meditation, journaling, praying, serving others. So some sort of spiritual growth, and have a routine in place. So for me, it's journaling, because we live so much in our heads and there's so much going on. So it's just nice to just dump it all on paper. And look at our thoughts, because our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings, well, that's what's going to show up in our behavior. So when we journal, we can reflect on our thoughts, we can shift our self-talk, and we can, if we spend that reflection time, we can even look at our goals and look at what are we going to do to achieve our goals today, and really validating how we feel and how we want to feel and aligning our behavior to that. So that's like a daily spiritual growth that I make non-negotiable in my life, because we can just allow busyness to take over.
Yeah. So, for me, journaling has been a really hard one to learn, but it has been so beneficial. But at first it freaked me out. It triggered me, because I was just like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't know if it's supposed to be reviewed, if I'm gonna fail this journaling thing. And it was a whole new experience. But it has been, for me, I don't think I have gotten that far to where I can visualize, but at least it's a brain dump. I can wake up, write everything that is holding me antsy, and then let it go. And then I can just really decide, pick one priority, pick two, or pick oh my gosh, I can't believe that I lost sleep over this. Then you can kind of give
Yeah, I
yourself
love
a
that.
pat on the back. It's like, let it go, you know?
Yes, let it go. Yeah, and that's the thing is just learning to like we have 50 to 7,000 thoughts a day. So it is nice to understand like we need to let things go and not make meaning to it or we're just going to be overwhelmed in our thoughts. So that's why I love journaling. And there's no right or way to journal, you know. I do provide like my clients with journal prompts and I do have a free ebook to kind of get you started on that journal, but on that journaling. But you know, the journaling you can like there's no, you don't even have to make sense or like write complete sentences. It's just to reflect on your feelings
And
and
it's for
all.
you. If people want to read it, good for them. Like,
Yes,
like
yeah.
more power to them if they want to translate your
Yeah.
thoughts. I mean, sometimes I don't even understand my own thoughts. So I don't, I mean, it would be very interesting to find somebody trying to make sense of what goes down on my journaling.
Telma, we love you. That's so great. Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's on spiritual health. And then my last one is emotional health. And emotional health, you know, is just as important as everything else. And it's really what you said, self-awareness is key. So increasing your self-awareness of everything, like what makes you happy, do more of it. What triggers you, let's get a coping tool that you can have at the ready to help you work through the discomfort of it. It's also practicing self-control, like managing your emotions in healthier ways. It's socializing with friends is emotional health because we're not meant to do parenting or business or life alone. So it's, investing in personal development and investing in networking groups. So you are with like-minded people that are they're going to support you to thrive in life and being healthy. So, increasing empathy for yourself is emotional health, like really not allowing your past to define who you are today or not allowing, your failures and mistakes, but like really reflecting that those are your best teachers, those are the best lessons, and that each day is a new day for you to reflect on how you want to be, who you want to be, and really show up with confidence as you desire to be the mom or the business leader or friend that you want to be. So emotional health is very important. So those
Yeah.
are the 4 categories. It sounds so easy, but they take a lot of practice. Like I usually work with people 3 to 6 months and just really making these like a habit to practice. So
Yeah. So I know that Hannah commented on the fact that the life stage triggers is a really good point. I feel yes, and I feel like we don't often just talk about them because maybe we don't want to admit that it's a trigger. Maybe it's intimidating. Maybe there's just so much. Uh, I don't know why we don't really talk about all this stuff that we
yeah,
actually need to take care of. Because yes, maybe my physical, like my most on like physical health is yes, is a workout. But when it comes to the emotional one, I want to see my friends. Like I want to
yes,
see and hug. Like if I go without seeing one of my friends, Erica, or without seeing her, I start feeling like what's happening, give me a call, I
yeah,
want to hear your voice, I want, it's important to me because
yes.
maybe because I'm an extrovert, maybe because I have that connection, maybe because it feels like good fun therapy, I don't know,
Yeah.
but it is part of my self-care.
It's so important for self-care. There's so much research about like social connection. We are human creatures. We are designed to be around people. And so that's why even if you don't want to be, it's important that somehow you connect, whether it's through Zoom or in person is always my favorite. But it's so important and make it priority in your life. So like once a month, I schedule a coffee date with a friend. Today I scheduled it with my sister-in-law. Like I schedule those like you do. You have workout dates with your friend.
Yeah, I
It's
do.
so important. And now I'm in like network groups, and once a month I connect with them in person. And so I have a really good tribe. Yeah.
It's good to
So
have it's good to have that community that believes in you, that supports you, that you support, that like you said, that they know what's important to you, and they like-minded people. But yes, we are social people, and sometimes we can't help who is really around us, but being aware, like Clarita said, awareness is the key to begin your journey of self-care.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's not only for self-care, it's for any habit that you want to create. It
Yeah.
all starts with, now I'm aware, now, like maybe one day I'm going to
Yeah.
decide. like I'm gonna be a morning person. Now I am, but before I was, it came to me as a awareness of this is the time of the day that I'm wasting that I could use towards myself. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I, right? But it started with awareness, then a decision that you can consciously make, and then you can take action, which is awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. And so it's really just looking at these 4 categories and developing some systems in place and routines of how you can practice them. So like, I try to do like a podcast a month, a different podcast a month I listen to. So, things like that, or a new book, like you're doing a book club, like things to keep me as a lifelong learner, because we're meant to grow, like it's like if you plant seeds and you don't water it, it's going to die. We need to do that the same for ourselves, is like every day practice self-care so we can grow and transform and show up, in wellness as we desire to be. So,
right. And just earlier, I had an amazing conversation with Clarita, but it was in Spanish. It was about self-care. Well, we said how sometimes we just think of self-care as one thing that you have to do with yourself.
yeah.
And it is great to start with one thing, like
Yes.
maybe just start drinking a little bit more water. Maybe we can start with just one thing, but eventually you do realize that there's a lot more to you than just the physical need. There's a lot more to you than like just seeing, you realize that there is a whole. So yes, the 4 pillars really bring you together into being aware of your needs in every single part of your life, so you can actually be like a whole, complete, well put together, I guess.
Yeah. And it just helps you like be in control of your own life instead of, all like stress and everything having power over you. When you practice these different tools, then you're able to like have control of your own life, regardless of what's going on and all the sadness going on. You still have like systems in place every day that you practice to get up and move your body and be healthy in the mind, body, and heart. So, that's why I like to break it down in 4 categories. So we're not just focusing just on working out all the time. We're actually focusing on our feelings and social connecting with other people and growing and things like that. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Well, Tabitha, thank you so much for coming into my little circle and sharing your goodness. It's so good to have you not only in my life, but around, a boxer away, a text away. I don't know. I feel, and it's been great to learn from you and just grow in community. I just love that feeling, and I feel very grateful to have you as part of mine.
Oh, same for me. And I feel honored to join your community today and share the importance of like practicing emotional wellness in all these different areas. So, and just being around that energy. So, yeah.
It's great. I think that the more that we share, the more that it allows others to just give it a try and maybe discover something fabulous for themselves, So I'm definitely all about sharing the goodness, cheering people on so we can try and grow together. Yeah. But I want to be respectful of your time. And so we'll just close in repeating the 4 pillars, 4 pillars: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And they tie together. You can always start with one, but hopefully you start growing and growing. And yes, of course, it starts with being aware, then being consciously making the decision to create a new habit. And yes, it takes about 25 days of consistency. Now, like Tabitha was super kind on reminding us, have self-compassion. If you can start any day all over again, every day is a brand new opportunity, right?
Yes, for sure. Yes. Those are great reminders to sum it up. Yep.
Anything did I miss anything?
No, you did beautiful. You summed it all up. So yes. Yeah.
We live and we learn, and I'm learning from the best.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Have an amazing day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you for everybody that joined.